Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to check in and say good job on your e-learning so far. I love that you're continuing to learn with your reading, your math, and your writing. I know it's been hard sometimes, but I'm so proud of you for showing your parents all the things that you can do by yourself. Also, don't forget the the music, art, and PE teachers have awesome activities on your e-learning. You need to do one of those every day too. You can switch it up, but you have to pick one of those. So check those out next time. I'm going to continue reading from One and Only Ivan for about 10 minutes. So go find somewhere comfy in the house and just cuddle up with a blanket, and we'll continue reading where Mac found Ivan's painting, and he took it, and he see how Ivan feels about Mac, telling him he's going to paint pictures for money. This chapter's called Ad. Good news, huh? Bob says when Mac's out of earshot. Looks like you might be getting some more supplies. I don't want to paint for Mac, I say. I'm painting for Ruby. You can do both, Bob says. You're an artist after all. While I watch the movie, I try to come up with a new hiding place for my paintings. Maybe I think I can fold them once they're dry and stuff them into knot tag. It's a long movie, and at the end the sheriff marries a woman who owns a saloon, which is a watering hole for humans but not horses. It's been a long time since I've seen a Western that was also a romance. I like that movie, I say to Bob. Too many horses, not enough dogs, he comments. An ad comes on. I don't understand ads. They're not like Westerns, where you know who the bad guy is supposed to be, and they're hardly ever romantic unless the man and the woman are brushing their teeth before a face lick. I watch an ad for underarm deodorant. How do you know who's who if they don't smell? I ask Bob. Humans reek, Bob replies. They just don't notice because they have incompetent noses. Another ad comes on. I see children and their parents buying tickets, just like the tickets Mac sells. They laugh, enjoying their ice cream cones as they walk down a path. They pause to watch two sleepy-eyed cats, huge and striped, dozing in the long grass. Tigers, I know, because I saw them on a nature show once. Words flash on the screen, accompanied by a drawing of a red giraffe. The giraffe vanishes, and I see a human family staring at another kind of family of elephants, old and young. They're surrounded by rocks and trees and grass and room to wander. It's a wild cage, a zoo. I see where it begins and where it ends. The wall that says you are this, and we are that, and that is how it's all always supposed to be. It's not a perfect place, even in just a few fleeting seconds on my TV screen. I can see that. A perfect place would not need walls. But it's the place I need. I gaze at the elephants, and then I look over at Ruby, small and alone. Before the ad ends, I try to remember every last detail. Rocks, trees, tails, trunks. It's a picture I need to paint. Imagining. It's difficult now when I paint. I'm not painting what I see in front of me, a banana, an apple. I'm painting what I see in my head. Things that don't exist. At least not yet. Knot tag. I pull knot tag's stuffing. Carefully I fill her with my paintings, hiding them so Mac won't sell them. She's large, bigger than Bob, but I still have to crumple a few of them. Bob tries to settle in on her for a nap. You've killed her, he complains. I had to, I say. I miss your stomach, Bob admits. It's so spacious. When Julia arrived, she noticed that I've used up my paints and paper. Wow, Julia shakes her head. You are one serious artist, Ivan. One more thing. My finger painting has sold for $40 with a frame. Mac is happy. He brings me a huge pile of paper and big buckets of paint. Get to work, he says. I paint for Mac during the day and for Ruby at night. I nap when I can. There's Ivan painting. But my nighttime picture isn't quite right. It's big, that's for sure. When I place all the pieces on the floor of my cage side by side, the cement is almost completely covered, but something's still missing. Bob says I'm crazy. There's Ruby, he says, pointing with his nose. There's the zoo. There are other elephants. What's wrong with it? It needs one more thing, I say. Bob groans. You're being a temperamental artist. What could be missing? I stare at the huge expanse of colors and shapes. I don't know how to explain to Bob that it isn't done yet. I'll just have to wait, I say at last. Something will come to me, and then I'll know my painting is finally finished. The 7 o'clock show. During the last show of the day, Ruby seems tired. When she stumbles, Mac reaches for his claw stick. I tense, waiting for her to strike back. Ruby doesn't even flinch. She just keeps plodding along, and after a while, Snickers jumps onto her back. 12. I lie in my cage with Bob on my stomach. We are watching Julia do her work. She doesn't seem to be enjoying it. I can tell because she is sighing more than usual. Again, for the 100th time, or maybe the 1000th, I wonder what is missing from my painting. And for the 100th time, or maybe the 1000th, I don't have any answer. Dad, Julia says as George passes with the mop. Can I ask you a question? May I, George corrects. Ask away. Julia glances down at the piece of paper. What's the difference between the word spelling Principal and the one spelled Principle? So principal and principal. The first one is the head of a school, like Miss Garcia. The second one is a belief that helps you know what's right and wrong. He smiles. For example, it's against my principle to do my daughter's homework for her. Julia groans. If I'm going to be an artist when I grow up, why do I need to know how to spell? With a laugh, George heads off. Poor Julia, I think. Gorillas get by just fine without learning how to spell. All those endless letters, those sticks and circles and zigzags, filling up books and magazines, billboards and candy wrappers. Words. Humans love their words. I leap up. Bob goes flying straight into my pool. A word. You know how I feel about wet feet, Bob yells. He scrambles out of the water, shaking each foot in dismay. I look out my window at the billboard. I can still hear Mac's voice in my head. Come to Exit 8, Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, home of the one and only Ivan, mighty Silverback. I count to 12, and then I count again, just to be sure. This last chapter today is called H. I lay out 16 pieces of poster board, 4 down, 4 across. Oh, look, he made an array. A perfect square. What are you up to? Bob demands. I'm guessing it doesn't involve sleep. It has to do with the billboard. That sign's a monstrosity, particularly since I'm not featured. I grab my bucket of red paint. You're not on the billboard because you're not in the show, I point out. Technically, I don't even live here, Bob says with a sniff. I am homeless by choice. I know, I'm just saying. I study the billboard, then I make 2 flat lines like broom handles. Another fat line connects them. I stand back. What do you think? This is what he makes. What is it? No, wait, let me guess. A ladder? Not a ladder, I say. A letter. At least I think that's what they're called. I have to make 3 more. Bob cuddles up next to No Tag. Why? He says, yawning. Because then I'll have a word, a very important word. I dip my fingers into the paint. What word? He asks. Home. Bob closes his eyes. That's not so important, he says quietly. Nervous. All day long, I knuckle walk circles around my cage. I'm so nervous I can't nap. I can't even eat. Well, not very much anyway. I'm ready to show Julia what I've made. It has to be Julia. She's an artist. Surely she'll truly look at my painting. She won't notice the smudges and tears. She won't care if the pieces don't quite fit together. She'll see past all of that. Surely Julia will see what I've imagined. I watch Ruby trudge sullenly through the 4 o'clock show, and I wonder, What will happen if I fail? What if I can't make Julia understand? But of course, I know the answer. Nothing. Nothing will happen. Ruby will remain the main attraction at the Exit 8 Big Top Mall and Video Arcade, conveniently located off I-95, which shows at 2, 4, and 7, 365 days a year, year after year after year. See you tomorrow.